Hey y'all, welcome to For the Fans, where tonight we are going to talk about that crazy episode of Survivor last night where we saw almost the whole cast drown. We got to see people still cannot keep their mouth shut about some advantages, and High was as confused as a goat on AstroTurf. So, tell me, guys, what did y'all think about this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Where's you
I
at?
loved
Where's
it.
your mind at?
I loved it. I had a great time. People almost died in the water. Daniel can't find his own pants. We've had idols missing. We have so many things going on, and a lot
Yeah.
of it. We also had terrible gameplay. That was also really fun.
I
We had
think
some
I think it's one
terrible
of those
gameplay.
episodes that in this season there's going to be a lot of people who thought it was a great episode, thought it was a bad episode, but seasons down the road, I'll be able to remember this episode. So many
Yeah.
weird things happened in this episode that it'll be memorable for either, all the things you enjoyed or the things that you absolutely thought were ridiculously bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, I hated it
Dr. Stan, why? Why did you hate the episode so bad?
because First of all, there are way too many advantages. There are way too many
Too
advantages,
many advantages.
and with such little tribes, people can't wiggle, and people made mistakes, which is part of the game. I
Yeah.
think people are too advantage hungry so early on in the game, but they didn't know that these advantages.
But no
come
new
with
advantages came in
consequences.
today, right? Like no new
No.
advantages came in. So it's
No
kinda
new
like,
advantages to them. We saw
Yeah.
41. They didn't. Remember
yeah,
that.
no, I mean like for this season, no new advantages came
No,
in.
Yeah.
Right?
but I mean,
Well, I
I
mean,
think
we have a new advantage in the game, just not tonight.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it was very, very entertaining. Obviously, not, great strategic gameplay, but definitely top tier entertainment factor. And that's what makes us keep coming back for more because you got to have that sometimes. It's hard to look away from a train wreck. So, anyways,
Mhm.
this episode just immediately jumps in. Going back to the Taku Beach, we have the Taku 4, and they're talking about we are so close. Nobody's going to be as close as us. And especially little Marianne out here just spilling her guts, y'all.
Like I told you, Marianne is just so likable. People just flock to her and they want to work with her because she's so genuine. It's so real. You see it the whole time she's out there. I, I know, Kylie, that you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, but I'm telling you, Marianne is well loved.
And you see that with Lindsay, right? So, we see, I guess we're kind of alluding to it, but yeah, we see that Marianne comes back and says to everybody, I got an extra vote. But it's for us. And she just starts celebrating and jumping up and down and saying, it's for us, we're four, but we're
We
really
have an extra
five.
vote.
We
Yeah,
have an
let's
extra
go.
vote. And you see that in the confessional from Lindsay, where basically saying, if we can stay tight, then that's an extra vote that we might be able to use for the group. And it wasn't
yes
it wasn't
and
a
no,
full commitment,
because
but it was interesting just to see that at least the thought process was out there, but that could be a lot of editing.
I feel like her narrative switched because this was a broken confessional, and that she starts the confessional off with being like, well, we did vote together. I just kind of don't know about Mary. She says something to that effect. And then they show Marianne revealing her extra vote. And then it's like, we're all together. And she has this switch whenever all of a sudden there's an advantage that I know about and that we're going to be able to use that can possibly benefit me. And I do feel like we have a switch in Lindsay's narrative a little bit towards Marianne. Can
You
we
guys think it's
shake
funny
your
though?
head all you want?
Two seasons in
Just
a row, when one of the youngest people in the tribe get the extra vote early in the season and tell everybody about it. Right? We had Xander do that last year, and it was an extra vote, right? Last year, yeah, and they knew that he couldn't vote with the whole idol thing too. Like he had everything last year, and it's kind of ironic that we're seeing a similar arc here with Marianne.
Yeah. And
Well,
so
I mean, with Xander, both Xander and Marianne are both just so real people, so young, so impressionable that they want to be honest and open about all the stuff they got going on because they're working in this like real team game.
I mean, Marianne did not watch 6 episodes of Token Chains, so she didn't learn. She missed the point where don't tell anybody about your advantages. Like Come on, guys. It's 42 seasons. Like, if you have an advantage, like Mike, for instance, like he was getting targeted unnecessarily because he came, oh, let's throw these idols. If there are people that are smarter than Daniel, they got rid of him and burned all those idols.
That's the thing, though. Like, I mean, you guys come on this show and you guys talk about how important it is not to talk about your advantages. I'm one to believe that if I have an idol, I'm going to use it to leverage people to work with me. Then when she's telling about this extra vote, she's like, "We're together, guys. Our 4 is now a 5. Let's go."
Yeah, this is a great example of when we need metrics, right? Because it'd be nice to see how many times in Survivor history has somebody shown or told people about an idol that they had, and then how many times were they voted out by the people they told?
2 examples. Right. Number 1, Kelly Wentworth in Cambodia did not tell a single person that she had the idol and played it on Andrew Savage perfectly. Number 2, Sam Gash in Australian Survivor. Should I continue, or is everyone?
I ain't seen Australian Survivor, but it's
no.
fine.
But like, if she said, if idol is public knowledge and gospel, it is gospel, then it puts a target on your back.
So look, so the difference is, though,
to throw it into the words of Jose, scenarios.
There are scenarios.
Yes. There are scenarios, but I feel like whenever you're not going to a tribal, you're not in a tribe swap, you're not at a merge, there's no reason to just give away this information. And that's where I have a problem with what Marianne is doing with her extra vote. You get swapped, you're down in numbers. Hey, y'all, guess what? I've got something that's going to get us out of a pickle. Yeah. And I mean, I think that you see that very, very well, like in David versus Goliath. When the Davids are down, they tell each other about their advantages and they use them together to, flip the script on how things are going. That's a great example of using it. I feel like when you're not going to tribal council, you're not in a swap, just sit on it for a little bit. That's all I want you to do.
Well, I think there's another level to that too. For anybody who's a bit of a gamer and you're looking at this, then I don't know if I can trust Marianne with secrets in general, right? Because she's showing that every time anything comes into her mind, it just bursts out, right? If it's sadness, it bursts out. If it's happiness, it bursts out. If it's surprise about getting, an award or a reward or an advantage or whatever, it's going to burst out.
Which is why she's casted.
Whether it's true, it would be hard for me to go to Marianne right now and be like, hey, you and I, we have an idol. And for Marianne not to run to someone and be like, hey, just between us.
I wouldn't trust Marianne.
That's not what. No, guys. None of that is what's going on here.
Marianne is going on. I'm saying if I watch somebody play like that, that's
Marianne is I'm the complete opposite.
Listen to Kevin.
I'm the complete opposite. Marianne is someone that I'm going to definitely trust because she has such a love for this game. She is so invested that let me tell you, Stan, that she is going to know that the things I'm telling her, she's going to keep between us. She's exuding her own stuff. She's exuding the things that she has. Just because she talks doesn't mean she's going to talk my stuff.
Well,
she doesn't seem like
nobody has stuff right now.
So the thing about Marianne is people are all like blinded because of her exuberant, like lovable personality that she's,
yes,
over the top.
This is a social strategy game.
Correct.
She is extremely social.
But she just.
But does she have strategy?
I don't think so.
Yes.
I think what's beautiful about the Orange Tribe is that Jonathan and Lindsay are tight. I don't know if y'all picked it up on it a couple of episodes ago. Jonathan and Lindsay kind of said, we're the two kind of stronger ones. She's a dietitian and she's jacked, and obviously Jonathan's a beast. And then I think then episode 2 was when Jonathan and Omar kind of had their like bromance, whatever. Yeah. So like I think Marianne almost got voted out in place of Mariah, I think, and people are just dragging her out.
She didn't actually almost get voted out instead of.
I don't even think it was that close of her getting voted out.
I don't think it was, but she's definitely 4th.
These are red. Yes, I agree completely. These are red flags that I see from Marianne going forward. And to talk more about the red flags.
Marianne slander.
Okay, more red flags. Hey guys, let's go on a group idol hunt, and then we'll come back and do some work around camp. No. Marianne, keep some things to yourself, baby.
If we all go look for the idol, then no one's hiding the idol, Kiley. Come on.
I would like to know who started that. I can't remember in the episode if it actually showed whose idea it was.
Marianne's.
Well, here's the thing. If I was on the island and I tried to go look by myself a little bit, you know, try to be sneaky, whatever, on the way back and forth to the bathroom or whatever, and you couldn't find it, and you were having a hard time finding it, it's almost a sneaky great idea if you give up on your ability to find it. Because then at least you know where it is, right? But then if you find it, if you're the one that happens to find it on the hunt, I think at that point I'd keep it secret and just keep looking as if I didn't find it. But it'd be great because imagine if somebody else said, "Oh, look, I found it." Well, at least now you know where it is.
Yeah,
right. You've got
information is currency. Information is currency. Don't give currency for free.
Yeah, Kevin, I gotta ask you a question. Do you believe that Marianne sharing information is an intentional strategy, or do you think it's basically based on her personality and it happens to be a good way to play, but it's unintentional? Do you think it's an intentional or unintentional?
I think it's intentional to the point of this, that she knows that naturally this is who she is. Yes. Sure. And she's like, I'm sure she seems like a very smart young lady. I feel like she has already weighed the pros and cons in general of the do I share, do I not share in general, right? Not like this specific thing. She's like, well, if I just tell everything to the people that I feel like I trust, then it's fine. And she feels like she trusts these people. And like as Stan was trying to say a minute ago, she almost went home. I don't think she was anywhere close to going home. I think these people told her for a very long time that we're good. We're good with you here. Yeah, there's no real fractures in this tribe at the moment. So as far as she's concerned, we're all together.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think you mentioned a good point there, where I think maybe you're right in the fact that she's trying to share information with everybody she thinks she trusts. I just think that age and being naive is making her feel like she can trust everybody. So might as well share it with everybody because I trust everybody.
The age and the naivete.
The reason I think Robbie is spot on.
No, I don't think it's the age and naivete. I think it's because she is giving. It's not that doesn't matter. I think she is giving good. She's a genuine person, and they're giving her back genuine vibes. Look at Jonathan. Look at the way even Lindsay, even though she's talking in her confessional about, I don't know about this, she is still giving her on the beach genuine vibes back. Omar, same thing. So
I think she's a type of person you're always going to be genuine with. Like her personality is extremely dynamic. Yes. She's somebody you're going to.
Correct.
Nobody's going to just dislike her, but she's over the top. Right. She's kind of playing a little questionable.
She's not overplaying. She's being herself.
Once again, I didn't say overplaying. I said
Stan said overplaying. Okay. Stan said overplaying.
I think it's sloppy. So we'll see. Once again, TBD how it's all going to go down.
Winning this game.
Is that the episode title for this sloppy gameplay? Is that what
No, the title of the episode for ours is TBD Marianne. Okay fair.
Listen, every week I'll be here to go at Kiley to let her know when every week Marianne's still here with that exuberance, and the more people that fall in love with it, I'm going to make sure that Kiley sees it.
I hope she wins, but
I would fall in love with her in a heartbeat, but I would take advantage of that naivete and then cut her when I don't need her anymore.
But people would not like you for that, Stan. People would not be a fan of that. I'm talking about people on the beat. You couldn't get people to go. You couldn't get people to work with you to get it done because they're going to be like, "Why are you going after Marianne?"
I'm not. I just don't think I can beat her into the final 3. She has to go and she loses final 5 immunity. But I'll take her along for the ride. She's on my
final 5.
That's a long time in this game. Oh, y'all are all so off. Okay. Anyways, she does in fact find the idol, and she gets her phrase. It's another classic case of the bunny rabbit having dinner in the mailbox. Y'all, where did they think this one up?
I don't know.
Can I jump in here for a second? Because did you notice that when she read her clue, it very clearly said that you must read your sentence at the next challenge?
Yes.
Immunity challenge. Whereas I don't remember it being read that same way when Mike got it.
Correct.
And Mike is choosing not to read it. And he hasn't said it yet. And yet her said you must say this phrase at the next challenge.
Yes.
At least that's what it sounded like when she was reading it. And I was kind of shocked by that because I'm assuming they should all be the same. If one person says they must read it and the other one just says it won't be activated until everyone says this stuff in a vague way and they can choose not to say it, that's a big difference.
Yeah, I noticed that too. So it is interesting. There's still so many questions with this, and do they have to say it, because there is such a strategy in being the last one. And even if you're looking at the numbers and, okay, hey, we've got to be getting pretty close to a merge, I'm not going to say my phrase, and mine's going, if I don't have my vote, whatever, I'm going to roll the dice, take the chances, but I'm not going to tell anybody that I have this. I'm not going to say the phrases, and nobody's going to know, but I know where the other two are. And so that's a huge advantage if that is something that you can do.
I mean,
and if this is something that they're going to continue with, I really, really want to see how the strategy around it develops in the next few seasons.
But it's even more interesting because when we go over to the beach with Chanel and all them, we have Daniel grabbing it and rereading like the fine print, right, from Mike, and he reads that the idol, if the idols are not found or activated or what have you, that they all become active come merge.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting that you bring up the fact that he has not said it to, if you will, activate it, because the idol comes into play eventually anyway. And you really want to use an idol more at merge than pre-merge anyway. So he is keeping it a secret, and now obviously he didn't get in trouble for not saying the phrase, because here we are 2 weeks in a row and he hasn't said the phrase. So it seems that though it said, you guys saw that it said must, they're being a little loosey-goosey with it.
Right.
Well, this is what I want to do. I want to go back and pause it when Daniel's reading Mike's copy of it, because I
don't think he says that part of it, because I noticed that too, Robbie.
I've been listening for it because of what happened last year, right? Where Xander had to keep saying it over and over and over until the point where they told him, I'm pretty sure that they told him in the background, okay, you don't have to say it every time, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Or we heard that somewhere, I'm not sure. But, that's, it's a big difference. And now imagine if Mike didn't tell anybody. Right. Yeah. And like Mike was going there this whole time with this in his pocket and watching who else has it.
Exactly.
Come merge, now he knows where they're at. But we did see something too when Daniel read that, where he read the line that if Mike gets voted out, it comes back into play or something, like it doesn't go away.
I think.
I think that I thought whenever Daniel was saying that, he was referencing they wanted to burn 3 idols. So hey, let's vote Mike out, and it nulls theirs.
That's what I'm saying. But he said if he does that, it doesn't work.
Right, exactly.
Right? So last season, the question was, does it come back into play? And I thought it did, but maybe it didn't.
It did. That's how Jeannie got it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. So there you go. So,
okay. So that is what we're going to get from the Taku tribe. Anything else to add from the Taku tribe before we move on to the Vati tribe? We're going to spend so much time with Vati this episode.
We spent 0 time with the other one.
Well, no
I
time
got
with
some
you.
Taku stuff coming to the challenge, because that was just something amazing.
Oh yeah. We're gonna get there. Okay, so moving on to the Vati tribe, we get this opening scene of Daniel not knowing where his shoes are, and I just thought this was a really, really breakout episode for Hai. And he makes this comment of, he loses everything. He loses his shoes, his water bottle, his shoulder. I mean, really, really funny. And then we're going to see it come into play. And listening to Jenny's exit press today, this was not the first time that Daniel has lost Mike's idol. This is going to be the second time.
It's insane because he, being the lawyer that he is, he needs to reread the clue, and he needs to pore over it and analyze it and really just dig deep on
and look for loopholes.
Yeah, exactly. And look at every word on this clue. Now, I thought it was interesting that he hurriedly runs up to Mike and is like, give me your clue, doc. Just give me the clue so I can go look at it, and then give me your beware advantage. And Mike's like, man, relax. I'm trying to get, I have it hidden over here.
And he even makes the comment there, which I didn't pick up on until I listened to Jenny's exit press. He says, since after that last debacle or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. And so he was referencing the first time that Daniel lost his idol. And so what? Why are you... Mike, why are you going to give it to him? Just be like, dude, you've already read it. You saw the paper.
You gotta give it to him again. You're working with the guy. You've already showed it to him. He wants to see the paperwork. if he's gonna screw you at this point, he's gonna make an enemy of himself.
Yeah,
you don't know
Yeah.
you don't know you're going to travel yet. You got to show it to him. But I would have pretty much done exactly what Mike did. If that's the case, I would have been like, man, we've been through this. You already lost it once. You're not getting it again. But I would have
Yeah.
laughed as I was saying it, like kind of make it
Yeah.
funny, and then be like, oh, listen, sit beside me. We'll go through it together.
Yeah, I think that's I think the way to manage Daniel in this situation is, I completely agree with Robbie. If you say no, you can't see it. It has that, like, remember that Shan Ricard
Yeah.
Yeah.
issue where they're like, well, and obviously we're dealing with two completely different players here, but it would inevitably cause a seed of doubt in Daniel's mind. But I completely agree. Aya would laugh about it. I'm like, you're an idiot, man. Like, laugh. But then let's go through it together. Let's go over the fine print because you're a lawyer and I'm not.
I do not understand how he actually loses this. I don't understand.
So he sits down on the ground. He's so jacked. He sits down on the ground. He opens it up. He's poring over the text, just reading it. Gets up, walks over there, says, "Here we go. We're good to go." Forgot the fact that the idol itself, the actual idol, was in a part of the parchment, because we watched Mike give him all the stuff.
Yeah.
And he real quick put it down his pants, real fast, real quick and in a hurry. And so when he must have got there, he just pulls it out real quick and just reads the thing. And the with the congratulations still being in his junk, he probably had the idol in his junk too. It stood up, it fell out of the side of his leg, and he just walked back over there.
So, I mean, I just want to know, in the scenario that they don't find it, like, okay, it has fallen out of the leg of his underwear as he is walking to or fro or whatever. If they cannot find it, what happens?
There's not out there for someone to find. Yeah.
Are they going to give him another one?
No.
Well, you know what? I'm sure when you go on the show, they give you a huge book of the rules of the show.
Yeah.
You know, cans and cans. Like, you know, keeping the big spins out of it, obviously, but the obvious rules. Because I've wondered before, you can't steal someone's idol, right? But if they give it to you, then it's yours. But what if you found an idol and you claim it, and then you just put it somewhere, and someone finds, like, you bury it and someone finds it? Well, it's still yours. You didn't give it to them, but now. And they can't steal it from you. So I wonder how many times in the show's history that's happened where, I mean, someone's just, you know, digging, looking for idols, and they find one, but it's actually already found, right?
Yeah, that would be
interesting. Where Mike hid it. Remember when he hid his? He just found a Y in the road and hid it by a tree. That's where a lot of people would look.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. But just, once again, this comes back to the scenario of, like, okay, if Mike really, really needed to tell somebody, tell Jenny. Once again, at the point where he has told Daniel and then Daniel has told Chanel, you don't have to. You don't have to leverage that. You're not going to a tribal council. Just don't tell him yet, or maybe ever. Especially, like, if Daniel is doing things around camp where people are noticing, oh, hey, he's kind of forgetful and he's kind of a whole ass mess. Like, this is probably not the person I want to trust my life with in this game.
I think because have a big part of that too. Because, like, you see with other people, they go to do a confessional and they say, okay, I'm self-aware enough or aware of my surroundings enough to be able to say, here's the duos, right? It's Mike and Jenny, it's Daniel and Chanel, and it's Lydia and Hai. But I don't see Mike giving a lot of those. So other people who see the duos and see, like, if you tell Daniel, he's going to tell Chanel and vice versa and things like that. I don't feel like Mike's looking at it that way. He's just looking at everybody as individuals. You know, I'm closest to Jenny, sure, but everyone's individuals and I like everybody kind of deal. And I don't know if that's just not a strategic way of thinking. He's not trying to look at the game. He's just trying to look at the day and the moment. And
that's why he's casted. You know? That's what, like what we said in Marianne is casted, you know. That's why these people, these characters are casted. They're flawed.
Well, I mean,
sure, all of them are.
Like we had Bob here in the chat say, Daniel's an overeducated dummy. That's just kind of how it is.
No, that's not. I think that's. I think Daniel has tendencies of forgetfulness. Like, I think he has ADHD.
Forgetfulness.
I think he's ADHD, like super hyperactive. But then
I think it's
Ken from The Amazing Race. He vlogs about being ADHD and having like this. If it wasn't for Kim holding him back and remembering everything, they wouldn't have won. But then, like, Daniel's the same thing. Like he's very smart. Clearly he's a lawyer. He's very big super fan of the game. Very strategic. Very good to get along with, I think. But then he has like these forgetfulness tendencies, which is along with the part of the package, and it's really interesting to see how this plays along.
And it is interesting, and that's what makes the show fun, is because you don't have just a cast of 16 or 18 people that are perfect, game bots playing flawlessly.
Mhm.
Because then what else would we even talk about if they're not out here making mistakes?
Right.
But still, 42 seasons, it's just a little bit mind-blowing. Just use discretion. That's all we ask. Okay, so let's move on to this immunity challenge, something that we've never seen before, and they are literally
we didn't see
going to die.
that I could beat you like at all.
None.
Really.
We got nothing from
Zero confessionals across the board from any of them.
Yeah, so nothing from the tribe. They're, getting the purple edit just like, they did last season too, because right now there's nothing for us to know about them.
Yeah.
Looks like we're coming back next episode though. Okay, so, but talking about this challenge, I mean, whenever they are standing on those platforms initially and Jeff is giving them the, survivors ready, that sea is rolling. And I looked at my husband because he gets motion sickness. I was like, what would you do in that scenario? And he was like, yeah, like on our honeymoon, we went on like a dinner cruise and we were on Lake Tahoe and it was so choppy, we had to get off of the boat. So he cannot do it. And I'm telling y'all, he would not have been able to do this challenge. He would have been sick to his stomach because they were rocking out there.
But if that's the way it is, then I feel like that's the way it should be. And I don't feel like anybody was close enough to drowning to do what they did. And I understand why, safety first and all that stuff. I get it. But they literally have challenges in these type of reality TV shows where you have to go underwater as it rises, stay under a cage until only your nose is poking out, hold it until you're literally holding your last breath, and then climb out of the cage and it's over.
I thought
they weren't at that point yet. I don't feel like.
I just didn't think it was. I mean, it's impossible to get that deep on the ocean, to be completely honest.
I think they overwhelmed, or sorry, they overplayed the whole waves aspect and the current caused by the waves, or vice versa, or whatever. The current was the real problem, because they literally, you saw the underwater video of it, where they were swimming and they couldn't physically get themselves to where they had to untie knots and pull stuff up, and basically they were just swimming against the current, and they just
I thought Rocksroy was gonna drown. I was waiting for Rocksroy to drown.
I was a little bit worried for some of them. I mean, and also, once again, coming back to Jenny's exit press, she said that she would have to estimate that they were in the water for probably an hour before they stopped them. And I'm like,
they're probably just exhausted.
I can't just tread water like on a calm sea for an hour. Like I would die once again.
Too, right? I don't have a lot of sympathy, as you can tell in my tone in this, because I feel like they should have waited. I don't think that they were quite
at standing depth. I mean, I think they were probably about at like 6 foot of water. So some may be standing. A lot of the women probably over their heads.
Yeah.
Your girl's only 5 foot tall. I would drown.
I've seen waves that big, and I've seen waves that are manageable. Those waves were big, coming from someone who knows what it's like to be in island situations where the waves are like really crashing and trying to get a ladder up. Like, you don't have Jonathan on your team. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard.
I think the big thing was height. I think it was just straight up height. I get Jonathan strong, and he was able to help pull people, and the ladder's heavy and stuff. Mm-hmm. But his height is what did it, because he wasn't gasping for breath. And the other people had to time their breaths.
He has aqua lungs.
And he was his head was above most of the waves half the time, right?
Right.
Where other people right beside him were getting capped by these waves.
But Robbie, you have to realize, as the tide, as Jeff explained, and it completely makes sense, the tide keeps going up. Jonathan finished the challenge super fast. The waves were probably still here, and that's what they anticipated. But because they couldn't get it up, like there were waves that are pounding over them every single time.
Yeah,
and
that's
because of the tide that's just rising. I mean, physiologically, I mean, people were gonna have swallowed water for sure. Like I don't think they were strong enough to finish the challenge for sure. Honestly,
it's an interesting choice though. It's an interesting choice to give them that part. Like, obviously production has to make the decision on the fly. Jeff was probably talking to the rest of the production team while the challenge was going on. Like, what are we going to do here? But like they could have both lost as well. Like you both failed to do what the other tribe did. One tribe was able to do it. You weren't. You both don't have.
Right. So when this is happening and we're going into this challenge, 15 minutes into the episode, I'm like, okay, we knew from the, next time on Survivor, this was going to happen. I was like, okay, once we see the Taku tribe, and we're going to get more into Jonathan's performance in a minute, but, when we see them on, finish, I was like, okay, when he stops this challenge, they're both going to tribal council. That was my initial thought.
Yeah, I checked my phone and it checked my phone at the middle of the immediate challenge, 8:27. Like, what the hell? What's going on? Like, why is it so early? Like, I was literally started running in my head, like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I was like, he's gonna stop it. They're both going to tribal council. We're gonna have a double boot here because they can't physically finish it.
I didn't think they were going to tribal council because it wasn't because they were like inept. Right? Like normally when you see them both go, it's because they're disappointed in the ineptitude of the players.
Yeah.
This was like you see he keeps talking about how it's blowing them off course and how they're being blown away from where they are. You're watching them climb the ladder and then the ladder moves with the person on it and they fall back into the water. It wasn't because they were not able to do it. It was because the water was not letting them do it. I thought that they were going to
except one tribe did it.
But
right?
the one tribe that did it didn't do it. The one person did it. In fact,
matter, he's part of that tribe.
If it was
Robbie, a hard puzzle and you had a brain.
Robbie, the reason I say one person is because while Marianne and Omar was being blown off course, he went back out there and grabbed them with 4 arms and pulled them ahead of him.
Before he even got to the ladder, he physically picked Omar up in the water and threw him.
Yes, because they were also getting blown off course like everyone else.
He caught air.
That's the strength that tribe has because they chose not to vote him out.
Yeah,
that's an advantage they chose to have.
Which is why I thought it was great that they waited till after they won to then be like, all right, we're going to now. They have officially won this thing. So,
I guess
and it wasn't just they had just won it. Like they were sitting on the mat, they were chilling, like
probably for a half hour. Like, they were there for a while. And but the thing is here is like this is season 42, drop the 4, keep the 2 type deal. It's supposed to be a harder season. It's going to be more cutthroat. You lose your flint, you lose everything. No rice, no food, no tools to start off. You got to do challenges to get that. Everything is harder. But if your tribe is unable to do a challenge, you know what? We'll give you a break. I feel like it would have been more on character for this season to say, you know what? I get it. You guys weren't able to do it. That's unfortunate. You should have planned better somehow and been able to do this challenge that the other tribe could do. You're both going to tribal. That's how hard the season
I wanted.
is. If you want to if you want to have a
harsh, Robbie, you're too harsh.
I'm with you, Robbie.
To be harsh. This is the
we are not giving out participation trophies here.
You couldn't
complete it. Your ass.
The things you're both missing is that it's harder based on our own. Not me, but survivors. Not us. It's harder based on survivors' machinations, right? We taking your flint. We're not giving you rice. We're shortening the days. We are not in control of the weather.
A tribe did it. All of those arguments fall apart with the fact that tribe did it. And you can say, oh, well, they have a big, strong guy. That was a choice the tribe made. They
didn't even have a big strong. It's not like they voted out a big strong guy. They didn't choose to not have a Jonathan.
Right. They didn't have a choice. Like Roxroy was the strongest guy, and the other guy, he barely could keep his head above water.
If one of them was able to use some,
they didn't have a choice
in the world. If one of them was able to use the highest IQ in the world to hack the challenge somehow and beat it with a puzzle, would you be saying the same thing? Like if one of them was like, okay, you're saying they're getting swept away, right? Let's just make it.
Yeah, but like it's not we can't compare a high IQ with physicality in a
You should be
challenge
able
where
to.
you're in
Well,
the
they're strength for the
water. Like,
tribe.
I think you have to realize that not everyone's built like
This was-
Jonathan. And if
well,
they
not even
had,
that, it was-
if you had Jonathan, Malcolm,
Yeah.
and Ozzy,
Sure.
3 tribes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
fair
then
game.
you keep it going. You
So
keep
when
it
you're
going.
saying,
You got an Aussie.
production, you're saying production miscast, and because Jonathan was on one tribe and that tribe has a huge physical advantage, that
No.
they gave the other two the benefit of the doubt by canceling the portion.
No. They didn't miscast.
Then you're disagreeing with your
They
own
didn't miscast. It's literally the weather, because this whole challenge can be done. The challenge can be done if the weather's not the way it is, right?
Correct.
So they're like,
you guys are
Robbie,
saying,
have you been in an ocean where there's like 6-foot waves pounding on you?
I live on the coast. You're not the only one that lives on the coast. Man.
Like, can you do a physical challenge with ladders going up when there's 6-foot wave coming at you? Like,
you know what? And
well, then maybe
I would have failed. Maybe I would have failed that, and I should have went to tribal because of it.
Maybe it boils down to this was a production error, and
The
maybe
whole
they
season's
should
a
have.
production error.
that's
Maybe
what I'm
they
saying.
should have done it at
The
a
whole
different
season,
time
you
of the
understand.
day
The whole
when
season's not a
the
production.
tide's going in
Correct.
and not out.
Like, why
So-
is production overcompensating so many things this season? Like,
What?
That's
with
what
all
I
the
you talking
advantages and
about?
disadvantages and trying to overseason the steak.
No,
It's the same seasoning as last season. The exact same seasoning. They in fact said at the very beginning of the show, we're doing a lot of the same stuff.
They're changing a little bit. They're changing a little bit.
Yes.
They're
they
changing
haven't
everything.
changed anything
They haven't
drastic
changed
to
a
this
lot,
point.
right?
No,
So what are you
literally
talking about?
nothing except for that first
40,
amulet.
just like
advantage.
41. So because 41 panned out the way it did, you can't say that because when you throw the same elements to 42 that it could be a completely different season, and it is. But now what I'm saying is 41 had a lot of over advantages and disadvantages, and a lot of salt and pepper and spices and rosemary and thyme, whatever. But then same here with 42, just that 42, a lot of people are like kind of overplaying it, like 41 kind of underplayed it, but like 42 is overplaying it, and the Survivor's getting caught with all these production like blah, 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 blah. Like now we see that production's getting a little.
What other production? Like so
the fact that in Orange only 2 people can vote next round. How crazy is that? In the final 15.
That was by choices.
But they gave those choices to them.
We're not there yet. So the biggest thing though is that you can't predict the weather. I mean, I feel like that was said.
Well, you
in an
literally
Outcast song.
can predict the weather.
No, you can't predict the weather.
I don't think it's going to be as accurate as it.
Literally, you can.
Listen, you could plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. Andre 3000 said that in the Miss Jackson song. That's exactly what's going on here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gilreath. I am for real. They should have both gone to tribal council. So.
But they don't.
It wasn't Survivor's plan to get both of them.
But they don't, and they reset on the beach.
Yeah.
Reset on the beach.
Can
we talk about Jonathan? Can we talk about the fact that Jonathan literally got down there, untied the buoy while the things were going? He has Marianne floating this way. He has Omar floating that way. And he said, hold the line. He then reached out, grabbed them, pulled him closer, picked up a ladder that had to be carried by multiple people, and then dragged it through the sand while everyone else is still swimming. He's walking on through the water.
That ladder looked ridiculously heavy.
Looking like a modern day Jesus. Walking through the water.
It was a rebar ladder.
One thing about Jonathan, I didn't really expect to like him as much this season.
I didn't either.
I didn't really like him that much. But number one, he had 0 confessionals all season. All episode, number 1. No confessionals this episode. Number 2, he was so humble when Jeff was like, I didn't know if you guys noticed, but he was like
Jeff pays him this compliment, and I'd be like, I mean, Jeff, it's obvious what just happened.
Like,
you do not need
to. With me, didn't say a word. He is. I think he's basically, I think, the heart and soul of that tribe. Like from social to physical to strategic. I think Jonathan is the core of that Orange tribe. It's not Marianne for sure. And he has Lindsay and Omar in both of his side pockets in the Frank pants.
Marianne's also in his pocket.
Harem pants, huh?
Internally, Jonathan's one of those kind of
internally
people.
He has Marianne like basically like slouched on his back.
Well,
like,
he's like one of those people that has to aspire to inspire, or else he'd expire. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
That's kind of how he is as a person.
Correct.
And so he is out there to be an inspiration to us all, with just through his current movements and gameplay.
And it's difficult for him actually. Look, plant him in Tocantins or plant him in Nicaragua. It would be a very different Jonathan. Then it would be a much easier game, I think, for him to play than it is now in 42, with the world being as it is now, that actually the white people are the minority in these games, and in Survivor 41 and 42. They're kind of like, especially the strong alpha male archetype, it's
played out. We talked about it's played out, but he's more than that, and that's what's the beauty of it.
That's why you really appreciate.
Like he's so, like, when it comes to being the alpha male, without like he's right now what I'm saying, he's
more likable than Malcolm. He's more likable than Ozzy. He's way more likable than Joe,
and he's stronger than all of them.
It's stronger than all of them.
Yeah.
He's like James minus the assholeness.
He's like James and Malcolm combined.
Yeah, I'm glad he wasn't cast 5 or 10 years ago or whatever, when he was younger, and probably
he was playing. He was 11, doing another reality show back then.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I think this is the perfect time for this guy to be on this show.
Yeah.
Very, very pleasantly surprised with Jonathan. I think that's like, a hot take everybody's got.
He got a lot of hate preseason. He's like, oh, who's this white man? Like,
yeah, I think we're all eating a little bit of humble pie. So, sorry.
But again, if he gets swapped and he's on the minority of any of those other groups,
but it would still keep him for challenge prowess.
But we're problem is merge. You're right, but we're getting closer and closer to merge every episode that goes by.
He's not gonna win. Remember the triangles when he's like, I counted 11.
Yeah, fair.
And I'm like, boy, I counted 11 in 2 seconds.
He'll get to that part of the challenge though.
And then, like, but then humbly, he'll get there. That's not me. Yeah. Let me work on.
There's going to be. I don't think that you just have to look at Jonathan when you get to the merge and he's got to go, because once again, there's just so many challenges once it gets to the individual portion that his build is not made for. His build is made for the team challenges where he's having to drag a boat and a ladder and a treasure chest.
Challenge. All you need is the narrow beam with a ball.
Remember the Xander challenge with a block? He's screwed. Number 2, the one where he has to carry his own weight. Although, mind you, he's the world pull-up champion, so I guess he can.
I mean, I don't think we should count him out, but I don't think it's just like.
I don't think it's as easy as that. I think Jonathan's going like, I don't know I don't think he's gonna win. I think he has more chance than Marianne to win.
It's crazy. Sure. I think he has the second most winner potential of that archetype after Ozzy, because Ozzy was in the end, right? So he has but Ozzy was in the final 2 with Yul. He was in the final 3 with Yul. Right. So outside of that time with
there
Ozzy,
was a third person there.
I forgot Becky was there too. But outside of the final 3 right there, right in Cook Islands, I think that that Jonathan has the next highest potential of that archetype to win the game.
Absolutely. I think I completely agree with you. I'm very pleasantly surprised. I'm on the Jonathan train hardcore now that Jenny's gone. Ugh.
All right, so let's move on to they're having to make the decision for who's going to go to Shipwell Island. They decide on Chanel and Omer are going on this adventure. We don't get anything from their journey in terms of any type of relationship they might have built.
Unlike Shannon and Leanna.
We basically just jump straight to the advantage portion of, we get Chanel saying, my vote is too important tonight. Like, I cannot lose it. I'm going to have to protect my vote. So Omer is completely right here to say, hey, I'm going to risk my vote because this girl is not going to risk hers. And I need to know, because we all had very high praise for Chanel preseason. And I need to know what the hell was going on in her mind, because it's so weird. A terrible decision.
She says that she cannot risk her vote tonight. She says that she knows that Mike doesn't have a vote and that they're going to need all the votes come tonight.
Yes.
And then she went to the wheel and said, I F it, and then turn to
for someone who plays orgs, and it ain't her first rodeo. For someone who's a super fan of the game, who boasts that she's a social player, which I fully believe she is, that was just such a miscalculation.
Terrible move. Terrible move.
It was honestly, it was if you were trying to lose your vote, you would tell them, I'm not going to risk my vote. And then you would do that. Like it's almost like literally the perfect move if you were trying to lose your vote.
Yes.
So it blew my mind. And like you said, Stan, this is a great opportunity where you could have tried to build that relationship with Omar, right? And you knew you were going to tribal. You could have played that up like, man, if you save me right now, if you allow me to save myself tonight, I will owe you for the rest of this game. You will have like whatever favors you need when it comes to votes later. Let me get whatever this advantage is because I needed to survive. Even if she didn't, just play that up.
And now Omar's will go to tribal council if he does, and he sees that he's wait.
So like you gotta go all in with that or play it safe. You can't.
Even better though, you utilize the information that you do have. You tell Omar, hey, so Mike doesn't have a vote. Because Mike found his beware thing. So he doesn't have a vote. That's when he says, Marianne has one too. Cool. We have now exchanged information that is not ours about other people. We've exchanged that. Cool. So I don't know what the advantage is, but I need that tonight because we might need it tonight.
Right.
I know that there's a situation where we're going to have to either try to like keep our vote or not keep our vote or something of that sort. I know that that's how that goes. Because mind you, Omar at this point knows about the extra vote because he knows what's there. And Jenny had at least told them something about what happened on that island.
Yes.
So if Chanel's like, I need the thing for the use tonight, do you think you could do me the solid of protecting your vote tonight? And then I'm going to risk it.
Right.
I would love for both of us to do it.
Yeah.
So badly played. I do not understand.
Oh, terrible. That's such a bad play, Chanel. Like, I expected more from you, girl. Like,
and
represent the org community. Come on.
To throw a little bit towards Omar too. He's down to 4 people on his tribe, and I get it. He's not going to tribal right now, but the risk is still a risk for him because next time he goes. No, I'm not saying right now, but I'm saying if he loses his vote, it is for his next time he goes to tribal.
Right.
So next time but he's like tribal, he doesn't have a vote, right?
But Robbie,
but listen. I'm getting to the point. My point is, her pitching that to him is still palatable for him because he wants to keep his vote too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like they're basically in the same position except for she's at tribal now. You might be in tribal next time.
She's trouble right now. She's in trouble right now.
Right now. But like I think Omar played it correctly.
He made the right decision based on the information he had.
No. He handed that to him on a silver platter.
When he gets there to his next tribal council and sees that he does not have a vote, he should be
like, what?
Mad. He's big mad. Okay. But back on the Vati beach, we have basically the 2 duos are separated. Mike and Jenny want to get out Lydia. Lydia and Hai want to get out Jenny. And we've got Daniel here just
in the middle,
not responsible enough for this kind of pressure. And he is even telling both sides like, hey, they think I'm with them, but I'm not. I'm with y'all. You know, he's in there. It's obvious. They know that this is a duo and this is a duo. And Daniel, you and Chanel are in the middle. And, you know, y'all are going to have to decide which way to go. But at a certain point in time, you can't lie to both sides. You know what I mean? You got to be honest with somebody. And this is just the beginning of the terrible gameplay that we're going to see from him here.
I disagree. I think up to that point, I think he did that. That was all right. I think he knew where the votes were going. He had control over where the votes were going to an extent with the whole helping, like Chanel and him kind of talked into the whole splitting the votes and everything. I think he was in a great position going into tribal because he knew he was safe and he knew where the votes were going. And he was trying to keep his group of 4 safe with the plan that him and Chanel came up with. I think up to tribal, I think he was playing it the right way. I think he was calm. I think he knew all the information. Yeah. Mike didn't know what was going on. Jenny kind of knew what was going on because Daniel told her. And
even better, exactly.
Right? Well, so I think we got to give Daniel credit at least for getting himself in the position where he had the information and he knew where things were going. Where how many times in Survivor do people just have no clue?
And he played it perfectly. He played it perfectly on the beach because he's like, Lindsay and Hire like, hey, you want to come with us? High's like, we can't be seen together. We good to go to Jenny? He's like, yeah, cool. I'll be right back. Go to Jenny and Mike and say they want to vote you, but I'm with you. That's what I'm telling you right now. That's what their plan is. So I'm telling you, and we're going to do this. Me and Chanel got you. And then you
both
go back
sides
to them.
believed them. Both sides believed them.
Correct.
But
so that was played perfectly.
This is a little bit of a delicate situation. I mean, like, kind of, if you have a fly on your scrotum, you got to be careful when you kill it, because you can really screw things up here. Okay. And so this is the scenario that Daniel is in, and he doesn't completely handle this right. Because my problem with what he does is he is exposing himself as the double agent, and
keeping that theme going.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not exposing himself. They already know he's in the middle.
People talk.
No, but they know he's in the middle. They already know he's staunchly in the middle.
But I don't like whenever you're basically telling the people, hey, I'm telling them that I'm playing you. Yeah, so it's okay. Whenever
at Tribal,
we know that Mike already has a little bit of distrust with Daniel, and obviously Daniel's not privy to that, but that's not casting him in any type of a better light. And so
you have one motivation in Tribal Council if you're Daniel. It's not to make sure that Mike and Jenny still believe you, because they don't have idols. They can't do anything. They can't change what they're doing. Nothing they can do can hurt you unless they stand up and blow up everything, right? Which is unlikely. Your one motivation is to keep it so that Hai and Lydia believe your lie. So that Hai and Lydia will split votes, guys on guys, girls on girls.
Well, we're not even that part yet.
Right. But when he gets in there and Jeff is doing his thing and he says, well, who are the people that can calm you down and keep you comfortable? If you're Daniel, who are the two names, or at least one of them? You have
pick to one from each group.
You've got to throw out Chanel, because everybody sees you with Chanel. You have to say Chanel. It's a safe answer. Everybody sees you with her, right? Chanel, and then say, and I really enjoy my time with Hai.
Right.
And like Hai just makes me feel like whatever, like I'm hanging out with the guys or whatever. But when you literally say the guys that you're not supposed to be working with, and you name the people that you're supposed to be backstabbing right now, and you see Hai goes like, well, wait a minute.
And something else that really impressed me with Hai in this episode is when Chanel does get back and she's like, hey, tells Daniel, we've got to, propose the idea of a split vote. Hai clocks her immediately and is like, this is not how Chanel normally. He completely clocks her and is like, this is not how she normally is. She's usually very composed, but she's come back and she's a little bit frantic. Something to me is off here. And he does clock that before they go to Tribal Council. And Chanel was right to propose that. And in theory, that's what they should have done. They should have split the votes 2-2-2 in theory. They have the information that Mike doesn't have his vote and all of that. But when you're talking with, hey, we're a group of 4, they're a group of 2, we split the votes 2-2-2. And if they play something, we're, revoting and we vote out the other one. But there's something in her demeanor and how she's coming across that Hai is like, no, something's not right here. And so once again, my winner pick, very impressed with his read on this situation.
Yeah. I think Hai did a really good job, like with how it kind of panned out. I'm very impressed with him. I completely. This is how you play the bottom, like real well. Like,
well, he doesn't know he's at the bottom at the time.
Correct.
He doesn't realize he's at the bottom.
He didn't know, but he realized real quick that episode that he was, and he stood his ground.
But he realized that Chanel shifted, and that was something that was really cool that they got, because they were able to highlight, because him being so perceptive is something that I think we're going to get going forward.
I'm nervous for Hai, because I think people are going to latch onto that. Like his face, he doesn't have a poker face.
No, he shows it. He shows
I don't think anyone's going to catch that
early, but late.
I don't think he necessarily had a poker face. I think he had a face of like,
what the fuck's going on face.
Yeah.
This shit is not, on the up and up. Something is happening here.
Yeah.
I need to see a poker face if he's the one pulling off a deception. If he has his bullshit radar on and it is going off, I want him to react exactly how he did, where from the beginning that he is not buying what you're selling.
No. Very smart guy. I'm excited to see how Hai continues on.
Are you guys at all surprised that for people who are looking at the small print, right? You have Daniel and you have Chanel, who's got org experience, right? Are you surprised that they didn't try to game the tie more effectively? Because that honestly, it surprised me a little bit that if you're going to try to put the votes on anybody, why wouldn't they just try to push all the votes on Mike?
Well, I thought it was interesting.
Because if they would have forced the tie on Mike, then in the revote, Mike couldn't vote and Lydia couldn't vote, right? So it would have been 2-1 anyway. Like, do you know what I mean? And it would have been as long as they would have got people to vote on Mike, then it would have been okay. But they tried to get fancy with the 2-1-1. And if they
I don't necessarily think that. I mean, I would not put the vote on Mike because then in the revote, Mike can't vote.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Mike, but Mike wouldn't be able to vote in the revote anyway because he's tied, right?
I don't think Hai and Lydia knew that Mike had the idol.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the advantage. So they basically chose Jenny because Mike is more of an asset in challenges.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I guess. But I mean, like they got the vote to be split apparently, right? Or that was the attempt.
Well, I thought it was interesting because Hai was like, "Let's go with 3-1," and I thought that Chanel should have been like, "Actually, that's a great idea. Let's go 3-1." Me and Daniel, we should vote Jenny because we're closer to Mike.
You only need one vote off. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, one of y'all should vote Jenny with us, and then one person vote Mike just in case. Lindsay, Hai, whichever one of you guys want to do it, just do it, and then you got it. But that's not what we get.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Let's just talk about this tribal council because it is a lot. So coming into it, we get Daniel saying, "I'm not going to win this game because I am so paranoid." And this paranoia just makes you question everything. It makes you question everybody. And I'm like, Daniel, what are you doing? Please stop talking.
No, it got worse. That's not even the bad part.
That's not the bad part. How you get trust with the people that you're working with.
Kiley, you didn't even get to the bad part because Jeff then says, "Who keeps you calm here?" And he says, "Chanel keeps me calm." That's fine. Then he says, "And Mike keeps me calm." And then if you're like, "Hi," you're like, "Hmm." And then he says, "And my mom keeps me calm." Oh, so not me or Lydia, huh?
And Daniel's supposed to be voting for Mike.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, that could also be a way.
Well, I agree, but that's not what Hai's saying. Yeah,
that's not what Hai's saying.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Stan. I agree with what you're saying. Like, make him feel comfortable so he doesn't play his dice or whatever, and vote him out, kind of deal. Like, yeah, I'm working with Mike, and then stab him in the back.
But if I'm working with you,
but if I'm working with, like, say one of them, say one of their two names.
Just say one of them. Hai keeps me calm too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. All of us keep you calm. Got it.
Right. Pick one from each group. You have everybody mapped out as duos. Pick one person from each duo, especially if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to vote Lydia out tonight and I need to, be able to repair this situation with Hai going forward. Let me say Hai calms me down. Let me say something good about him.
Yeah.
But no, that's not what our boy Daniel decides.
Well, play the politician and say everybody and be a joke. Like, you know what? I like hanging out with this person because of this, and this person makes me feel that. And every year we see questions come up at Tribal where they find a way to say everybody or nobody, and they don't pick, right? Because that's the smart thing to do, unless you're trying to like bamboozle. But man, it was kind of like, ugh.
It's a little weird.
Misstep.
Yeah. And while Jeff is asking questions, I don't know, he's either talking to Jenny or Lydia, Chanel decides to look at Daniel and just confirm Lydia. And Hai is staring right at her and sees this. And I'm just, what are you doing, Chanel? I'm just flabbergasted at how bad she's playing. Flabbergasted.
I'm wondering how much of that was the edit too, because that could have been at any moment. Like
that is true.
I can't remember in the camera view if you could actually see Hai looking that way.
Hai did not see her.
Right, but they definitely made it look
later
like
on.
it was.
They made it look like
during the vote.
I think he saw.
She could have been breaking the rules. Hai could have been up voting, and she could have been like, Lydia, and he's like, nod.
Yeah, no, I mean, y'all are right, but still, like, it's just, it's a lot. So
yeah, I completely agree. Too much.
we get them going to vote, and this is where we have Mike, you don't have a vote because of your beware advantage. Chanel, you risked your vote. You took a risk. It did not pay out. Go sit back down. And so the votes are read. It is a 2-2 tie. We're going for the revote. So do y'all think that in this scenario where Daniel has all of the information of, okay, obviously either Jenny or Chanel lost their vote. One of them, and because we did not see, Chanel does not know at that moment. So one of them lost their vote, probably Chanel. Do y'all think that at that moment he should have switched right then and there, voted Jenny out, or do you like that he stuck to his guns and made this potentially go to rocks?
Oh, God, this part really, my best analogy for it, it's grilled to perfection, but you overseason the steak too much.
Like, still talking about steaks?
Yeah.
Are you hungry today?
I just ate. But that's it's a crazy tribal, but I think the steak was so like when you eat a nice steak, it's just
the steak or the steak in the game.
It's just like I feel like everybody. It was tough for me to watch. It was tough for me to watch just Jeff having be like, I've never seen this before. Let's reveal who had the vote.
You guys have all played orgs, right? You've all played games similar to this. You've been in positions where you have a make or break moment.
Surrey and Game Changers.
Right? Like if you were going to flip at this point, right? Your vote, I mean, there's ways you could try to spin it. You could say, okay, guys, I only had a split second. We couldn't talk about it. I didn't want to risk, like, you're the two people I'm working closest with, like Mike and Chanel. Like, I didn't want to risk the three of us going to rocks. I know you were closer to Jenny, but I'm closer to you. I wanted to keep you guys safe. I
wanted to protect y'all.
I wish I could have talked to you.
It's not even that deep. It's not even that deep.
But I mean, you try something if you're going to flip it. But then if you don't, like the way he handled the afterwards, right?
Well, we're not even there yet, Robbie, because let me say this. The fact that when he comes out immediately, if you're going to come out immediately and say, I'm not going to rocks, if you already have that designation in your mind, you should not even be putting yourself in a situation of a tie.
Mm-hmm.
You should go in there on the revote. You're the only one with the knowledge that Chanel does not have a vote. You and Chanel and Jenny are of the knowledge that Mike doesn't have a vote. You know that High is going to re-vote for Jenny. You already know that. Yes. So you have to go in there on the revote. You change the vote, and we're not even here. Because when we get back to the camp, you saw 4 votes. You knew who had 4 votes. You knew that there was a possibility Chanel did not have a vote. And when it came out 2-2, you knew for sure Chanel didn't have a vote. So when you go back over there, you go ahead and you vote out Jenny, and there's no need for the explanation. There's no need for the explanation.
When you get back to camp, why you changed. Yeah. So you're gonna have to say something. Yeah. But I agree with you. The logic already makes the choice for you.
But you just simply say, I'm not going to rocks for somebody that knows for 5 days. So I changed my vote.
I think what happened here was Daniel was blindsided by Jeff. Because when Daniel's voting, he's thinking, okay, it could be a tie, and then when we go back, then we've got 4 people who have to make the decision, and when 3 of us are all saying we're going to go this way, High's going to be outnumbered, and the 3 of us are going to be pressuring High to switch. High, work with us, don't worry about it, switch. But what ends up happening is Jeff, like I said, blindsides him and says, I get it, you're all going to go to rocks, but only 2 of you can make the decision. You and High.
Yeah, there's only 2 votes. So y'all are the only 2 that have to decide.
I think that the critical thinking is gone. Do you know what I mean? Like the critical thinking is like he's so burnt out, he's not sleeping, he's not eating. I mean, they didn't get rice. They're basically living on a seafood diet. I mean, I'm on a seafood diet. I eat it. But that's a different seafood diet. You know what I mean? These guys are exhausted, they're hungry, and all of a sudden he has to come up with some strategy. And in his mind, he thinks, throw someone under the bus.
Yeah. And
so hold on, before we get to that part, it's I would have like you said, when you have to go back to camp, you have to explain the rocks thing. It's very simple. There's a 75% chance one of us goes home. Mm-hmm. There's a 25% chance it's High. Mm-hmm. That's literally it. The odds are too great that it's going to be one of the 4 of us that are working together. Yeah. So We just gonna have to sacrifice Jenny.
Right.
on
And if they
guys.
get pissed, well, guess what? Y'all both made decisions
they couldn't
to
even
lose
get
your
pissed.
vote. So
There's
I
no
made this
situation they
decision.
can get pissed.
Exactly.
There's literally no situation they can be pissed.
And it guarantees the numbers are 3-2.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So
And there was a smoother way, but like I said, this guy.
There's a smoother way. Right.
But like you said, Robbie, let's get into it, because at this point, this man decides that it is much more important to set the house on fire than to get everyone out alive.
But before we even get to that, he makes mistake number 2. And mistake number 2 is he leads off this debate of, hey, we've got to either come to a unanimous decision or we're going to rocks, by leading with, I don't want to go to rocks.
I'm not going to rocks.
So, like, if you're there, then once again, you could have stopped it at that point and been like, I'm not going to go to rocks, so I switch my vote. Sorry, Jenny, you're gone. And you could have ended it right there. But once again, he makes a terrible freaking decision. And he decides now to throw Chanel under the bus.
Well, I only voted this way because Chanel wanted me to. What do you mean because Chanel wanted you to? You would have voted, if you would have voted Lydia, why are we even having this conversation at this point?
I think
what are you doing? Like, you're one ally. You just said, well, I did it because she wanted me to. And as you know, Jeff just told you she didn't have a vote. So I was doing it like as her proxy. What are you doing, bro?
Like, okay, Daniel was casted for this very reason, because it was one of us 4 in that situation. It would not have had that dramatic explosion at Tribal Council. Like, I think clearly understand where High's coming from. We'd all just be like, listen, what y'all were saying about, let's keep my 2 allies. You guys don't have a vote. I'm just going to sacrifice Jenny, other than 75% of us having a chance to go home. Like, that would be the level-headed nature of the person. However, you have to forget that Daniel lost Mike's idol a couple of times. Completely paranoid about, I need to read this clue multiple times. Played both sides hysterically, horribly during the vote. Oh, I would retract horribly. I think he played it well until the merge comes, and he doesn't have like a stop. He doesn't have a hard stop. He doesn't control what he says. He just goes for it. And that's the beauty of Survivor casting, is you pick someone like him who kind of knows what he's doing, but then will spaz out. And that's where episode 3 drama is trending on Twitter because of Daniel. And that's why
he pulled the trigger, right?
He pulled the trigger.
The problem is he's aiming in all the wrong places. But in tribal.
Right. No, I mean,
he pulls the trigger, and how many other people just sit there and they're too afraid to throw out ideas? He's trying. He's just like, the execution is great, but the plan is horrible.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
the execution's horrible and the plan is horrible.
So like, if he's trying to burn Chanel, he did it. If he's trying to lose all of his previous allies, he did it.
And now he's at the bottom.
Why are you trying to?
Yeah, I mean, and some of that comes to a point of, you just have to know your relationships with people. And if you know, like, hey, I'm close with Chanel, like, I've got to save face here, I'm going to just change the vote or whatever. Like, hey, I had decided that it was best for my game to vote out Lydia, but I'm with you. Like, let's just get rid of Jenny.
How do you not bluff?
But he doesn't.
At least once, and just say,
yes, exactly.
Hi,
but I mean, High, the balls that High has.
I will go to rocks for Jenny. Just say, I will go to rocks for Jenny. We all want to work with you. Work with us right now. Just bluff it. And if he's like, no, I'm not doing it, then be like, all right, I'll switch too, because I'm not going to rocks.
Right. I mean, I think honestly,
like, how that would have been just as funny. Like, I
would have been. I think you got to play it up a little bit more. You're like, we are all locked in. Let's think about. Yes, you're talking about strength, but how you have us. We're doing this. I'm going to rocks for Jenny. They'll go to rocks for Jenny. We're doing this. Jeff says final answer. Well, hold on, Jeffrey. Hold on, Jeffrey. Are you sure? You positive? Sure?
Well,
are you sure?
You're nailing it, Kevin. And I've done this in an org before, where you literally throw it out there real strong, and then you pause and you call names out. Mike, we're going to rocks. Yes. Chanel, we're going to rocks. Yes. Hi. Really? You want to go to Rocks? And he's like, yes. And he'd be like, all right, Jeff, I'm not going to Rocks. I changed my mind.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
like literally throw the names out there, point at them, put the pressure
I'm gonna
on,
be the
and
voice
he
of
is
reason
on.
here. We're not going to Rocks. Sorry,
Right.
Jenny.
Yeah.
You gotta
Someone
go.
has to stop
be like,
this.
and
Someone
then
has to stop
look Mike and Chanel in the eye and be like, listen, guys, I just tried. I'm not putting this to Rocks.
Right.
Yes.
Jeff, I changed my vote.
no,
So
I mean,
Yeah.
this is just, I once again so impressed with High because he sticks to his morals here, and
Dude,
he is
when High turns to Jenny and says, "You and Mike value strength, and that's something that I don't have, and that is why I have to stick with my ally. And
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but I have to vote you out." That was phenomenal. The way he said it, he was so
played.
eloquent, and he said it so matter of factly, and all of it made sense. And and Jenny's like, "Well, damn, okay." Like,
And it wasn't offensive.
Juxtaposition between Daniel and High is just incredible.
And then, as all of this is going on, and Daniel is now waffling, and okay, yeah, I'm probably going to switch my vote because I don't want to go to Rocks. Hi, you are not going to hold this against me, correct?
Oh my God.
Lydia, you're not going to hold this against me, right? Yes, I'm going to hold it against you. Like,
But I'm not going to tell you
Lydia's
that.
going to say no. If not, she's getting voted, like, what? So, just...
I think he even says, like, promise.
Yeah. And somehow,
like,
promise.
Half of this shit needs to come back on Chanel, but Daniel has done such a terrible job that it has blown him up.
Yeah, in the pre-show, you said that you don't think Chanel's gotten enough flack online, and the reason she hasn't gotten enough flack, she hasn't gotten a lot of this, is because of how Daniel handled all of this. This is a Daniel misstep all the way. If Jenny just goes home, then this is Chanel's fault. If she just goes home, it's Chanel's fault. But because Daniel then decides to blow up every alliance that he has, Kyle Moore style, then that is how you get here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how you get here.
Yeah, and I think Mike is empathetic and calm enough that he'll be able to slide through this, even though he's on the wrong side. I'm really curious to see how much Chanel blows up when she gets back to camp. Yeah. And how much she just says, I just need a minute and to walk away and cool down. Because like, you can just blow up Mike's game even worse. But I mean, what are you going to do? Like his new allies already trust him.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the play goes against Lydia and High.
I will, give Chanel some credit. I will retract the bad things I said about her this week. If she comes out of this situation where she is just completely dropped Daniel and is just, scoops High and Mike up, and they just completely outcast Daniel because that's what she has to do. This has completely, this ship has sunk, okay? Worse than the survivors out there in the ocean. So that's going to wrap it up for us tonight, y'all. Such a wild episode. Just, this is why I love Survivor. I cannot wait to watch next week. See the fallout of this. What do y'all think is going to happen next?
Daniel going to have some explaining to do. You're going to have to go back to the beach, and Daniel going to have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Daniel's going to spill the beans on every advantage and who has what and all that stuff. Put as big a target as he can on Mike and just basically throw Chanel all the blame. High is going to be smart enough to see through it, I think. I think High is going to be like, listen, man, like to Daniel's face, I think he's going to be like, yeah, you're with us, and use his vote if he has to. But High's not an idiot, man. Like High's going to know. Like they tried to bamboozle. High was smart enough to switch his vote, so it didn't work. Like, so you got caught and one of your teammates went home.
High's very smart, and I think he came up on top after this all this because of his moves. Absolutely. I know it's never gonna happen, but I kind of want a tribe swap.
That's what I was saying. Come on, swap. Yeah.
It would be great
swap
to
a two, like go down to two tribes. I think that'd be so much fun. I think that'd be great, but 42's not gonna do it. Come on, guys. Like,
yeah.
Like how awesome
it would be interesting, but I don't think that's what we're gonna get. But I'm excited to see what it is. Stan, do you have anything to plug?
No, I think I'm good. I'm glad to be here. talking to you guys about Survivor. Rest in peace, Jenny. We didn't even talk about her. We didn't even talk about my girl Jenny today because she didn't even fight for herself.
Anyway. You know, they didn't talk about her in the episode neither. Let's keep it going.
Robbie, anything you got going on?
Nothing special to plug. Just a lot more of this. Having fun watching the season, and I agree with you, Stan. I think it's going to be really interesting, and I kind of feel bad Jenny is gone the way the edit went. I feel like it would have been nice to get a bit more, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't think much was brought there, but and I don't know, Kiley, if you're going to go into that whole shenanigans, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, before we get to Kevin with his plug, Dr. Stan, you don't know it, but we were playing a game within a game tonight. Kevin, and Robbie were in on it, and you have to tell us. We all three worked in our secret phrases to activate our idols.
Our idols are active.
Guess as to what our 3 secret phrases were.
I don't pay attention to these things. Like, I have no idea. This is like what gets me on Survivor, because I would never pay attention. I look at big picture in relationships, but I wouldn't ever know. I wouldn't even come up with something.
I was cutting it close. I made it right to tribal before I said mine.
I didn't know.
Robbie, what was yours?
I'm on a seafood diet. When I see
food, I heard that.
Okay, Kevin, what was yours?
Yeah, when we inspire, or else we'll expire.
Oh, Jonathan.
And mine was, when you kill a fly on your scrotum, you have to be careful.
Oh, gosh. See, that's my problem in life. I'm not very detail oriented.
So Kiley's was a little bit bananas, but this shows you how some people at those challenges might not really pick up on these crazy phrases.
Yeah. Would never pick up on it. Like, Survivor fooled me. Until the second time the butterflies would come up, I'll be like, wait,
hold on.
All right, Kevin. Next week might get caught.
Kevin, what do you have going on?
So tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, come back here and watch Kiley, DeLucas, Sheldon, and Josh go over BB Can 10, the live veto and the eviction episode. They'll be live going through all of that, so make sure you're back on the channel checking that out. Also, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify for the fans' entertainment. It is a great channel to subscribe and listen to us the next day after we're live on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern.
All right.
That's all I got.
And we will be back next week to talk about this next crazy episode of Survivor, and we will see you all then. Bye, y'all.